Good evening. Today is going to be day 13, I believe. Am I correct? Day 13 of FoP. Um, Let me see. Wrong. 14. Class 14 of Foundations of Programming. We're going to be doing lesson 13, which is going to be Python regular expressions and ASCII values. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I've updated the calendar, so you should be able to see and follow along with the slides, um, and see what we have further into the course. See. Okay. All right. So Python regular expressions and ASCII values. This is going to be the second to last lesson that's going to be covered in FoP. Lesson 14 is going to be like a challenge speed run of the pre-work challenges that we're giving to you guys. So this is honestly the last one that you're going to really be learning anything that's currently on the curriculum. So nothing heavy. It's gonna be the regular expression and ASCII values. So what is a regular expression? I do believe that you guys probably got introduction to this with the pre-work. There might be some lessons or chapters that cover this, so they shouldn't be completely new. But regex is shorthand for regular expression, and this is a method of searching a string for specific characters. Now, if done right and if learned properly, this is a very strong tool to have, right? And regular expressions are going to help you to filter out different input, and you'll see this later in the immersive program when you're working with, for example, like receiving input from the user. The regular expressions are going to allow you to filter out their input. If someone enters an invalid email, right, being able to use regular expressions, you'll be able to parse through the input that the user gives you to see if it's a valid email or not in the format that you want it. Regular expressions are used to like format your passwords. When you ask the user for to enter their first, middle, and last name. If someone types in an integer, you should be able to catch that. And regular expressions allows you to format stuff like that, especially if you're taking input and adding it to your database. Regular expressions will allow you to format what they give you and keep them from giving you garbage. It's used for a multitude of different things like replacing, removing, finding, and matching parts of a string. So remember, strings are immutable. When you concatenate strings with the plus equal operator, you are not actually adding things to a string because you can't. All right, strings are part of your primitive types. If you guys remember correctly, the difference between primitive and non-primitive are the fact that the primitive are immutable, right? You can't change them. Uh, so you're creating a completely new string every time that you do that. All right. So whenever you guys think that you're formatting your string and assigning it to something, to itself, you think you're creating something new. You're not. In under the hood, right? It's a completely different variable and it's being assigned at a different location. Uh, so just be aware of that. This idea applies to regular expressions as well. If you use a regex to remove all the integers from a string, you didn't filter the string. You simply created a new string without any integers, right? And regex essentially is like a blueprint of what you're looking for to format what your new string will be. This is a subtle difference, but the concept of immutability in programming is really important. I do apologize ahead of time. My son is cracked out because he just woke up from his nap. So if you hear him yelling in the background, it's just another day for me. Moving forward, so common use case, user validation. Right here we see an example, how I mentioned before, with an email, right? Being able to filter out the input that you receive from your user and ensure that whatever they're giving you is actually valid, and you can properly store it in your database, right? So user validation, being able to validate what the user gives you, whether they're the correct user or not. This is only an intro to Python regex module. So like pretty much everything else that's been covered, it's just a small taste of it. You can get very deep into regular expressions and the different ways to use it and whatnot. We're just going to cover some of the syntax for it, give you some tools of what you can use so you're aware that it's available to you. But it's not going to be anything crazy. If you guys want a good example of what you can use, I think regex 1 is a pretty good one. This is a nice tool if you want to try stuff out for regular expressions. No, not this one. This looks a little bit different than before. But regex will allow you to, to mess around with this, and kind of get better at regular expressions, right? So using the regular expression is going to require to use the RE. So you're gonna start by importing the RE module at the top of your file. All right, very similar to how you guys import your random or your math modules that you guys have been using. You can import regular expressions by using the RE. And yes, it stands for regular expressions. When using regex on a string with backslashes, just use a raw string. Think F strings, but with a letter R at the beginning. This tells Python not to handle backslashes in any special way, right? So to start formatting your string, you're going to use that R to be able to use those backslashes, right? We're going to cover some small methods that regular expression provides. One of them is going to be sub. And here on the first bullet point, you're going to see the format of it, all right, of what it takes. So to actually go through it, you're going to want to declare a pattern, right? And then you're going to, and what you're going to replace it with, right? So replace with the string that you're trying to replace, and then the count, you can choose or grab a certain amount of quantities of it, right? And that, for example, would be, let's say if you're trying to grab a pattern that's, for every, let's say you're trying to filter out, go through a string, and in the string you have section where you have A, B, and C back to back, right? You want to grab the pattern would be anything that follows that pattern, which is an A, B, and C letter within your string. And you want to replace it with something else. Let's say for every time you find A, B, and C within your string, you're going to want to replace it with 1, 2, and 3. That's what you put on your second argument. After that, you pass it the string that you want to actually filter through, and then you can give it the count of how many of those you want to find. Flags, I don't remember exactly what the flag is. I'm sure we can probably see in a bit. The one that really honestly matter is going to be the first 4 right here. Only 3 of the above parameters are required. Yep. If you don't include the count parameter, all instances of the pattern will be replaced. Keep that in mind. All right. The flag parameter is more advanced, so we won't discuss it much, but it's meant to make your search more specific. I personally don't remember off the top of my head, but don't worry too much about it. It's only an introduction to regex. Python's reg.sub module examples. So here we see on line 3, we have a variable called some_string, which holds a string that says, hey, look at this awesome sentence. And then we're going to create a new variable. All right, we're creating a new variable because we can't change the previous one because strings are immutable. And we're naming this variable no_hey_string. Within here, we're going to call the array module and then use its .sub method. As discussed before, the first argument passed into the method is going to be the pattern that you're looking for. And we're looking for every hey, right? The second argument is going to be an empty string. We're going to replace it with absolutely nothing. And then the string that we want to manipulate or work with is going to be what's held inside of the sum variable. There's some string variable. And then we can print the new string in line 6. And if you see that there's no haze in there, right? We didn't specify count, therefore all the haze are gone. And then on the second example, the main difference here is that we actually specified a count and assigned that to the count variable on line 4, and we get back with at least one haze back because it started with 2. We took 1 out, right? So that's the big difference between these two. Just the fact that we specify a specific count instead of grabbing every single one of them. More array.sub module examples. Here we have a string assigned to the same variable, some string, and we can see that there's some words in here. We got apple, banana, kiwi, and melon. We create a new variable called alpha string where we're going to store our new string at. And here we see the pattern built in on the first argument. And this is where we first start seeing some of the actual regex syntax, right? We see an open and closed brackets, and within it, we see the syntax with, I want to say it's a caret. Is that what you call it? A caret? The up arrow. We see the up arrow, and then A through Z lowercase and A through Z capitalized. And then what you might be wondering, like, what is this saying? Well, essentially, we're grabbing anything that's going to be lowercase or capitalized letters at the start, and then we're grabbing multiples of it. That's what that plus sign means. We're going to replace it with an empty string. And then we grab that some string and we print it out on line 6. A better explanation of that is going to be here on slide 10. We have a nice little table providing you with all the different syntax or meta characters that you can use for regular expressions, right? The open and close brackets is going to be a set of characters, right? If you want to grab more than just one item, then you would use your brackets. The backward slash signals a special sequence, or it can also be used to escape special characters, right? And I'll explain the special sequence in a little bit. But as mentioned before, and I think you guys saw this whenever we were discussing the reading and writing through CSV files, the backward slash n essentially, I talked a little bit about it, how that would signify the spacing or a new line essentially. But you can sometimes use that backward slash to escape out of stuff, right? And now what does that mean? If you want to use essentially like a quotation mark within a string, right? Something you have words like that's, where it has that quotation mark and then the S afterwards. And if some people were to be using, some people like to use single quotes for their strings. Some people just like to do that instead of doing double quotes. Well, if you were to be using single quotes outside of, to wrap around your string, then you will need to use an escape character for your single quote whenever you use it in that's, right? And that's an example of it. It also, the backward slash is used, as you see here, for a special character. And I think that's covered later. The example they use here is the backward slash D, right? And this is an example of one of the special characters. You're able to grab, instead of typing in stuff like you see here on line 4, they typed in A through Z lowercase and A through Z capitalized. You have special characters that will grab everything, whether it's lowercase or capitalized, as long as it's a type of alphabetical letter, then we'll grab it. What if we wanted to grab all numbers between 1 and 9, right? Or 0 and 9, essentially. You would usually type 0 through 9 to grab every single letter, every single number. But there's special characters that allow you to do the exact same functionality without typing 0 through 9. And one of those is the /D, right? And that's what it means by special sequence. You're able to use the /D, and that says, hey, grab anything that's a digit, right? And that's one of the special characters that you have. And you're going to have one just like that, but for strings as well, where instead of having to type the lowercase a through z and capital case a through z, you're able to use a special sequence using the /. The next one we see here is the dot, and that's going to be any character, right, except new line characters. That's going to grab, if you were to use this in your pattern for your example here, you see that HE, then dot, dot, and then O. That's going to grab anything that has either, if it says hello, it will grab it. If it says, I don't know, anything else that has double right afterwards. But if you were to have a string that said it had two M's here, right, it would grab that. Even if between these you had numbers or random letters, it would grab it all, right? As long as it starts with HE and ends with O, it does not matter what's between these two right here because we have the dot character. So it'll grab anything, no matter what it is, except the new line character. Here we have, like I believe they call this a caret, that up arrow, right? And this is going to be your start with. So if you were to put that before your pattern, with that saying, hey, I want you to grab anything that starts with hello, right? So if your string starts with hello, it's going to grab it. And if it's not, then it won't pick it up, right? If hello is between some words, it's not going to pick it up. And you have something very similar to that for the ends with, and that's going to be your $sign, right? So your string ends with planet, it'll pick it up. If it starts with it, it won't pick it up. Here you have your asterisk, which is going to be 0 or more occurrences. And here you have your +, which is 1 or more occurrences. Keep that in mind of how that works, right? Here, when used for the 0 or more occurrences, we don't care for what the third item within the string is, but for that fourth one, I take that back. So what is it saying? Well, we're looking for anything that occurs either 0 or more times of whatever that dot is. So be aware of that, because it comes right after the dot, right? It's not outside of the brackets. If the asterisk was put on the right side of this bracket, it would grab multiple occurrences of multiple characters. But because it's not within any brackets, what this says is it's going to find 0 or more occurrences of any character, because right after the dot, right, which we already know can grab any specific character. So it might pick up 10 L's or 10 S's or whatever this is of just that specific dot, right, or whatever's in there. So the next one's going to be the +. We have 1 or more occurrences. And it get very tricky. Just bear with me. You're going to grab 1 or more of whatever occurs from that dot. And then we have the quotation mark, which is going to be 0 or 1 occurrence. So whatever comes after that dot. Then we have the curly bracket, exactly the specified number of occurrences. So we see that here we have HE, and then it's going to pick up a character right after the E. It might be an S, it might be an L, it might be an O, who knows? But it's going to grab 2 occurrences of that item, right? We specify that right afterwards. The pipes, it's going to be your either or. So if your pattern has something to the left or to the right, it'll grab either or of whatever's on either side of that pipe. And then capturing group, this will actually return you something if you were to grab it in these the open and close parentheses. So be aware of that. But it will grab everything that's in there and group it together. This will come to helpful in one of the methods that you're going to be learning in a bit. Do reference this as you're working with your regular expressions. I think it was RegEx 101. Here, this one's better. There we go. We can actually work it out a little bit. So RegEx 101 is my favorite in comparison to the RegEx one. Here you're able to actually choose the language you want to work with. We're going to be working with Python, and then it'll change it to that format. Because not all languages pick it up the same. So make sure you're aware of that. And then you're able to insert your test string here. We can use something like we'll use hello, but instead of else, we'll do once. And then we can actually loop through it, right? Actually, we won't even use hello. Let's try doing an email, right? So I'll make a fake email, my name and my last name at let's say Yahoo. Nah, let's go old school. Let's go hotmail.com. If I see you grin into that, that means you're probably alive for it. All right, so hotmail.com. And now we're gonna want to grab. I want to be able to grab this entire email, right? If someone's going to put this email, right, in my input bar, I want to be able to pick it up. So using the characters that were given to you in the slide, if you're following through the slide, I want you guys to help me out here. How would I pick up every single item? We're gonna build a pattern to pick up everything within this email. So it has to pick it up from start to finish. Everything before the @ symbol, everything after, between the @ symbol and the dot, and I want to pick up everything after the dot. So how would I do this? How can we start? Someone start me off. Well, let's start working with it. If we do A through Z, right? We already see that it's going to grab everything. But this is how this website works. You see how it's not the same shade of blue? That means it's grabbing every single one of them, right? It alternating between them to let you know that it's not grabbing the same item. So if I add a plus sign on that, you see that now they group up. They still alternate in color, so I know these are 3 different groups. We have match 1, match 2, and match 3. When I take off that plus sign, it has multiple different matches, right? Because it's going to grab that letter, but only one of them, because I didn't put that plus sign or the asterisk sign. But we're going to say we'll use the asterisk. We can even see here on the right side, the asterisk matches the previous token between 0 and unlimited times. So I'm going to grab any letter, whether I see it 0 times or more than 0 times, right? So that's going to grab the first set, right? But how do I grab afterwards that @ symbol? Who can help me out?
Would dot asterisk grab every character, or is that wrong?
Dot asterisk, you're absolutely correct. It will grab every character, but we don't want to do that, right? Why not? What is to stop somebody inputting random BS after before that @ symbol, right? We don't want to do just that. We don't want to just grab that. We want to grab only. How would you format email? What do you put before the @? Typically, it's what we have strings, right? So we have letters. They're alphabet letters. We can put numbers, right? And you guys have numbers in your email. Right now, we're only getting lowercase. Let's take off this dot. What if we put capitalized letters? right? Or numbers. So we want to grab anything that's within here that's lowercase. Should an email have capital letters? Anybody?
I mean, I'd say usually emails aren't case sensitive.
Usually they're
I
not
mean,
case sensitive. You are right. We'll keep it. We want to only grab everything that's lowercase. I've never really seen a capital letter in an email, so we'll keep it lowercase. I see Adrian. Awesome. You have the forward slash, but it's not forward slash. It's backward slash. Right. Now look at this. What is it doing? We don't have a plus sign or an asterisk, so it's only our pattern is saying, hey, grab anything that has an asterisk and then grab that letter before it, because we don't have a plus sign or an asterisk. So we want to do a plus sign because we want at least one letter before the asterisk. I'm sorry, before the at sign, right? Because typically we have the first section of the email before the at symbol, and then we have the at symbol. Then we have whatever website it belongs to. Typically, it might be Gmail, it might be Yahoo, whatever it belongs to. And then we have the .com. So at a minimum, we want one letter before the at symbol, right? And then we want to grab the at symbol. We don't want to just do 0 or more occurrences. There has to be something prior to it. So we want to capture at least one or more occurrences of a letter. But we also said that we can have digits, right? So we might want to get 0 through 9 in here, right? Because before we weren't catching these numbers. We see here the moment we put integers in here, according to our pattern, we're picking up the at symbol and then one or more occurrences of strings before it. But right after the strings, there's numbers, so that it captures that one pattern. That's it, because we didn't put here to capture numbers. So what if I were to have a number between my first and last name? What if I have 12? It's gonna not pick that up. So we can do 0 through 9, and that'll pick any digit up from 0 to 9. Or what's another one that we can put in here? We mentioned something like the /D, and that's gonna capture all digits, right? You guys remember that? Using that special sequence, the /D is gonna collect all digits. We also have something, I believe it's the it's not, it's a, here it is. My bad. It wasn't the S. The W. If you see on the bottom right, we have a quick reference tool, which is awesome. That's why I love this website. We have lowercase d, capitalized D, capitalized S, lowercase w, and capitalized W. What are these? These are the special sequence I was talking to you about, right? The one that was shown the example is the lowercase d, and we see here that's going to capture any digit that you give it. But what if we want to capture everything else besides digits? Then you will use the capital D, right? Now, we also have a special sequence for that where we can capture every word or every alphabet letter. Any word character will be the W, the lowercase w. And that's going to capture everything in here, whether it's lowercase or capital case, right? But we don't want that, though. I just wanted to show you that it's possible. I only want A through Z lowercase, and I also want 0 through 9. So we'll keep it at that. So far, so good. We got the first part. Now, I want to capture what's to the right of the at symbol, and someone fill me up. How do I do this? What would be the next part of my pattern?
You want to be email specific or just characters?
I don't care. I can't control the users that come onto my website. I don't know what emails they've signed up with, so I don't necessarily want to control the email they signed up with, right? Because that would just limit me to people who only have a Gmail. So not Gmail specific, but
It just needs to end in .com.
it does have to end in .com. But if I were to do that, how would I do it then? Tell me out, Donnie. Well, while you guys think about it, let's take a 10-minute break. It is 6:20. Let's take our first break of the night. I've been really bad with breaking you guys off, so I'm trying to stay to it. So come back in 10, and then we'll continue. All right, let's come back. So we left off covering the email. Adrian, I see you. Nice attempt. Not exactly, but pretty close, and we'll cover that. So we do backward slash @ symbol, because we want that specific character. We're not looking for anything crazy. We can essentially do this too if you want to specify that you're only looking for that one. But we use the backward slash to kind of like, exit out. How did that use it? Escape. We want to escape. So it's an escape character, so we get that backward slash so we can let the code know, hey, I want this @ symbol. I'm not trying to code something. I want that @ symbol specifically. And then after that, you don't put any plus or asterisk, because you only want one. So he's gonna grab that one item. And then for sure, we know that it has to lead to something, either Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, whatever tickles your pickle. So we'll use A through Z, right? Typically it's not capitalized, and we only want lowercase. So we'll just use A through Z, and we know we want at least one occurrence of it, not 0 to as many. We want at least one occurrence. So we'll do the plus sign. Now, what if, would you say that it would at least have one character, or would you say most places have at least two? I've never seen an @ in just one letter. You can actually, you say two. Will we say two on average? Probably two. We can probably specify that. At a minimum, I want to grab two. Now, can we specify two or more? Negatron, Batman. We'll use the plus sign. I don't think we can specify more than two. I think we put two. From what I just saw, it tends to look like it's only going to grab those two items. It's going to grab at a minimum two, and that's about it, unfortunately. But we'll use A to Z only. What was that, Karen?
Sorry, can't you do a 2 comma in curly brackets, and that does 2 or more?
Let's try that out. 2 comma. Yo, you're a genius, dude. Who taught you this? 2 comma.
I don't know.
RegEx 1.
RegEx. Yeah, it's awesome. Something new I just learned. Absolutely. Let's see. I wonder if it's on here.
I just got old notes that say like you could do like N comma M for like 2 to whatever number.
Yeah, it looks like right here. Yeah, matching the previous token between 2 and unlimited times. That's awesome. You taught me something new. But yeah, so we got 2 comma or more. We can even use that on the first one, because typically you don't see an email with just one letter. So let's do that. Actually, let's do 2. Actually, we'll say 3 for this one. Just to ensure. And this is kind of the parameters that you're gonna have to make whenever you create your application. You know, this is something that you're gonna have to take into consideration of how you want to do this. Because honestly, if I think about it, can emails have underscores? I'm not quite sure. Let's look it up.
Pretty
There's so many
sure.
rules to it, right? Generally speaking, underscores are allowed in email addresses. However, usage underscore differs from one email provider to the next. For example, many large providers like Gmail, Yahoo, and Hotmail do not allow email addresses to contain underscores, but it says I believe so. I think some might. So we might have to take into consideration some of those. So we can put a backward slash and an underscore. Let's see, how can we do this? So that picks it up, right? That picks it up. Throw a dot in there too. A dot is gonna capture everything that we a lot of stuff that we don't want, Adrian.
I think it means because you can have like your first name dot last name
Can you
at email. Yeah.
really? Okay, so we can do the dot as well. You're right, military emails. Okay, so we got the dot now, right? So we can capture those stuff. Cool. Yeah, so that's how how you do this. You can capture multiple stuff. Roger.delagorsa@gmail.com. What about the @mail.mil.mil? All right, it gets pretty crazy out here, right? So this is the stuff that you have to consider, right? Of who your audience is. But typically we're not gonna have military people probably putting their military email in this, so we'll just keep it this simple. So we capture dots. We'll take the dot off, but we know that we took that into account. So we got up to that part. Now we know that after capturing at least 2 or more characters after the @ sign, I want to ensure that I do capture at least that one dot. I'll put it in brackets just to ensure that I've isolated stuff so people know what we're looking for. We want to grab that, and then there's .com, .org, right? I think some places have .org. So we can do after the dot, we want to capture another A through Z, and then plus or more, and that should capture our entire email. And obviously we can be a little bit more specific with the trail in after the dot, but I think you guys get the point, right? And RegEx 101 is an awesome website that allows you to get your regular expression pattern set up and then actually add it into your code. So if you want to test stuff out before you actually, set your user validation and you start putting your constraints in there, you can come out here and try it out. And it's a nice little tool you guys can use. We'll move forward with the slides. Where's my stuff at? Okay. All right. Share screen. All right, so yeah, so we kind of covered most of these. We identify specific occurrences, 0 or 1 occurrence. Yeah. Capture groups. We didn't really touch too much on capture groups. Capture groups are you'll see an example of that in a bit. Example of meta characters, right? So we covered most of it real time, but we'll still talk through the examples. We come here into the next slide. They have the string assigned to the variable sum string. They're looking for program. They're going to replace it with dance, and then they take the string they want to filter through. We see here learn to dance because dance mean is cool. I'm assuming that's a typo. But because programming is cool. Okay, so they replaced the dance, but it still has the meaning in there, so it didn't really format it like you wanted to. And then they were able to actually be a little bit more specific, right? They put the program to be able to replace the first part of programming out of the way, and in the event that it's programming, right? It's in that form of tense, then we want to grab that. And you see here they put the question mark to grab it because it's optional. It might be there, it might not. But in the event it is, we're going to replace the entire thing or just program with dance, right? And that gives you that flexibility to be able to grab certain stuff like that, where you have different tense, whether it be plural or past or future or single. You can manipulate it in that manner. Next, you can also pass a function. We see here our cool function called replace. It takes in the match that you want to create. And we see here the syntax on line 4. If match.group 0 is equal to programming, return dancing, or return dance. Now, what is this saying? Well, whenever you use the open and close parentheses, you tend to get something back. You get the matches, and you kind of saw that in a little bit. Whenever you return something, it's called a match. And it's typically given to you in groups depending on how it's capturing stuff. So what this says, the first match that it picks up, right? So that first time it picks something up, we want to replace that, right? Not every situation in program or programming, and that allowed them to do that. What we see here, they have the same string program because programming is cool, and then it captures that specifically. Match is going to be, they put replace some string. They call the method replace, but they don't pass it an argument. That's kind of weird. They defined the replace function. They didn't pass it a parameter when they added here as a on line 9. That's weird. Huh. Yeah, I'll check up on slide 12 and I'll get back to this one. This is a little confusing. Let's go slide 13. An example of the flags parameter. So I was transparent with you guys. I'm not too familiar with this. I haven't really used flags myself, but you have here the string, hey, you, yeah, you, I love to code, and then they use the pipes to grab one of these or the other, right? They all love to code, and then they're gonna replace it with ski. And they're gonna filter out some string. And here we see it just returned the same one that it had before. But with the flag, they use the ignore case. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm assuming you can have specific methods like that. Let me look up the flags parameter to see the method that it comes with. But they're able to pass a specific method there where you ignore the case. Pop, 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 pop. Give me a second, let me see. I guess flags is, it gives you that flexibility to add some kind of constraint or option to take into consideration certain types of strings. So that's pretty cool. In that dot ignore case, that's just gonna be a method that comes with the RegEx module. I haven't really used the flags ones too much, but you see that is an option. the replace versus the sub module. So sub module is going to be more versatile than the built-in replace method. And here's you see, forget the replace, master the sub module, and that's because you can create your pattern, right? The dot replace can isn't as specific as the capabilities that regex provides for you. So yeah, you have the dot replace, but regex is at the end of the day a much superior version of what the dot replace method can use. And it mastered correctly. There's so much that you can use with the regex one. And I don't know if you guys, if for those of you who are familiar with regex, you probably use it in some of your coding challenges or your assessment. It was a nice tool to be able to filter out some of the questions that you're given to find certain items in the string. It's a very powerful method. Definitely worthwhile to learn how to use it and practice along on that regex 101 website. The find all. So the replace one, very simple. You saw here, you were able to, give it the string that you want to replace with something else. Find all is very similar, but it's gonna find that certain string that you pass it, and it returns a list. That's one thing to take into account. That it's gonna return that list for you. This one just replaces it for you, and gives you that new string. Still harping on the fact that it's adding it to a new string. You see, we're creating a new string. We're not manipulating the old one. The strings are immutable. So just keep that in mind as we continue with the course. Finding all characters in a set between A and E, right? So it's not, you can specify which ones you want it. We use A through Z, but here we just want A through E. So creating that pattern, and then you see here it returns that list for you of every single item in there. Now here we don't have a plus or an asterisk. Why? Because it's being used with the find all method, so you don't necessarily need that asterisk, right? Unless you're probably trying to grab multiple back-to-back items within here. Finding all digits, characters. So this is one of those special sequences that we discussed, right? We talked about it. The lowercase is going to capture all your digits, capitalize D, all your non-digits. Here we see the table that we discussed earlier. Same thing, right? As mentioned before, your digits and then your non-digits. The white space, very helpful as well. These are very special and powerful special characters, man. Definitely recommend to keep this under your tool belt. Finding a particular sequence that starts with he, followed by any two characters and an O. You saw these in the example slide. Here we have a string with 4 different variations of what you could have with H, E, and O, and that dot being able to capture every single one of them, whether it's what you call it, lowercase, capital case. I do believe it captures special characters too. Yep. So capture special characters. It will capture numbers as well. So do be careful when using that. You might grab more than you're trying to actually work with. And then we see here that it didn't capture one of them, the Hekio. Why? Because that's 3, right? We only put 2 dots in here. We didn't capture that last one in the string due to the fact that it's not, doesn't match the sequence that we're going for. Our pattern was to capture HE prior to those 2 dots and then followed by an O, but this one had the Y afterwards between. So we didn't capture that one, unfortunately. The find all examples. So we covered just a few to show you what is possible. Syntax you see here, right? You can create the pattern and then it'll the string that you want to filter through. Here they put the plus sign because they wanted to grab more current, just more than just one occurrence, right? Before, as I mentioned on that on this one, you don't have that plus sign or that asterisk, so it's only going to grab that one specific one. But if you want to increase the size of your string, you would use that. Jesus Christ. That plus or asterisk symbol for it, allowing you to increase the size of the string you're filtering for. Let's. I don't know if they have practice examples. I might just give you my own. Okay, they do. Returning an iterable with every match object, right? So find iter for match in matches, print match. As you saw before, it's going to return some form of a list for you. And for the find iterable, we have the hello, and it'll even tell you the span. So this one was the first one, hello, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, span of 5. This one was that same hello, 19, and it spans up to index 24. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what that second one is. It'll tell you exactly where it is in the string. It returns that match object, so you get this weird syntax, which is why it doesn't return it exactly how you're where it makes it completely readable. But you're able to loop through them in that manner and print them out. And it'll tell you where you can find them. The dot match, right? So the dot match, this is what I was trying to get to you guys about. Like when you're looking for a specific item, you can return the entire match itself. Where's that? Right, we loop through the line 3 and we look for hello, and it's gonna return you that match. But I didn't find it, print none. What? Oh, the first one, the string. So first one, the string, that I don't like that. Find match one. Dot match, find iterable. This will find with every match object. All these are very useful for you, but you probably won't use half of these. Half the time, regular expressions will come more in handy when you're actually trying to build a pattern and you're trying to filter out the type of input that you're going to receive from your user. Do these help? Yes. You'll find using them in your coding challenges, your coding interviews. But besides that, unless you're filtering to large sections of data, you're not really gonna need most of this. And even then, find the object only between the first and the string. All this, it will really only shine when you're working with, for example, if you're working with the front end, like the login, you try and keep track of what the people that you have visit your site. This is how you can filter out through massive amounts of data. But besides that, you won't really find too much use in the methods that come with the regular expressions. User validation is probably the biggest use I found. We have the search method, which is going to return the first match object in the string. Unlike the previous one, only the initial one. This one will keep going through there. The split method, you'll split it at whatever you offer into it as an argument, and it will return to you the list of it. Honestly, you can probably use the dot split method too. I've used it before while coding with you guys when splitting the string. I think it works with JavaScript. I think with Python, you have to import the RE. With JavaScript, it should have a dot split method if I remember correctly. Yeah. Yeah, JavaScript's dot split method works without importing the regular expression method. It's a Python one that you would have to import it. No wonder I was mess it up. The dot split method imported with regular expressions. Match object utility. Get the indices of the string matches. So here we use the find iterable, pass the hello, and it's gonna grab you the spans. So you saw that earlier. Whenever we print out the matches, it offers you the span with the find iterable one. But here you can grab specifically the span itself. You're able to call it out. It's a form of a method as well. Because as you guys saw, it's an object, right? It returns to you that object, and like you guys have realized, objects typically come with methods. So here we just grab the object itself, it returns the entire thing, but we want it just a span method. You're able to call the dot span. And it'll return to you the span of the location and from where it ends. Getting the start and end of the indices. Another method, the dot start and the dot end. Get groups or individual matches. This becomes important later. Don't worry too much about it right now. But you are able to grab them in groups. Exact numbers and ranges. We saw that in action earlier when discussing the email. All right, learn something new today. The comma. All right, being able to get from a minimum of 3, and I guess if you don't pass it a second argument, it'll get unlimited, but adding a second argument will actually limit to it. That's pretty cool. This I just learned myself. That's awesome. Vowels and domains.py. I'll give you guys 10 minutes to try it out. RegEx isn't too heavy. So we'll give it a shot and then we'll go through it together. All right, let's get back. I use a dot split method. It works with Python. You don't have to import the RE. It's when you try to split it without without a character in there, which is annoying because I think JavaScript you can tell it, hey, like split it at every single letter. But I think here, at a minimum, you have to split it with a space or something. You can't do an empty quotation marks and expect to pick it up because it's gonna say an empty separator. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. Yeah, so let's get back to it. So the vowels and domains.py. We have the first one is gonna be words starting with a vowel. We had to essentially take in a string, go to the string, find every single word that starts with a vowel, and be able to return that to us. Here you have your example input and output. What usually makes it easier is you want to declare your pattern, right, and assign it to a variable. In here, you can create what you want to work with, right? Whatever your pattern, whatever you want it to be, and then from there you can input that into your pattern itself. So we started off with the R to signify that it's a regex expression or a regular expression. It's it already has expression in the name. And then the first thing that we did was going to be the what you call it, the backward. Why did I use the beast? You don't use the beast. We should be able to find that every single one in here to find our vowels. And then after you find them, we're looking for both A, E, I, O, U, lowercase or capitalized. And then we're just looking for essentially it to start off with this. We should be able to put it's not there.
I think that's what your B was for.
Yeah, I think that's what the B was for. Let's look at special character. Give me a second. Not familiar too much with the B, but usually the caret, right? The up arrow, it's what you start with. I don't know why it's not accepting it right now. Boom, 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 boom. And then how do we end stuff? It's going to be with your question mark. Yeah. I guess the B in RegEx is trying to match between the space and the plus. No, let's check out. Let's work with it. Can you guys see my screen? RegEx 101. I prefer this one over the other one that I showed you. This one seems to be the much more user friendly. We can take that string that we're working with, put it in here. And now we said we wanted to get everything between A, E, I, O, U. That starts off with that. And then its capital counterpart. And it should start with that one. It should be, see, with do it this way, it should pick up that we want to grab that.
The caret inside the brackets are going to give you everything but A, E, I, O.
Yeah. Would it be outside?
Isn't that only gonna be like the very beginning of the string? So not the beginning of each word?
I guess that's what the B is. Match either A or B.
I used a B because it said it was like a break, so
A
between
word
words.
boundary. That's what it said. A word boundary. I don't. Okay. Well, let's start off from there first. We'll do A to Z here to grab one or more occurrences. That should grab that, and then you said the B is gonna be the word boundary. And should never pass suddenly unless silence. That grabs all three. But why do they have a B in the back? Yeah, bear with me. I'm not the one that wrote this curriculum, but it's nice to see it. We have the 0 or more. A word should start with just a vowel, so it shouldn't be the asterisk at all. It should not have the asterisk. We should have a plus sign because you want to. What word only initiates with a vowel? Or I guess in the event that we have like a being used as a word like a dog. So makes sense. We will want to have 0 or more occurrences. So I guess that makes sense. Then the lowercase b as a special character seems to be the boundary one. I've never used a lowercase b a word boundary. Let's check it out. Matches without consuming any characters immediately between a character matched by the W and a character not matched by a W in either order. That's awesome. I have not learned that myself. Okay, so we can use the B in that manner. Let's put the lowercase b, and that should capture anything that starts with a vowel and then followed by anything between A to Z. So that's too easy. We put that in the find all pattern, and then returns the results. Pretty straightforward. The next one, similar context, except for this one, the sub method is you can do the find all. Who would use the find all? Did you guys use find all first? Yeah. When I tested it out, I didn't like the find all one, so I used a sub one instead. This one I had to manually call myself. The sub worked for me better. So I essentially got what was between the @ sign and the dot, and then anything else in between. And that initially returned what was this, but not in a list, right? How the assignment is asking for it. Oh god dang it. So if we were to return result, it would essentially return it in this manner, but it wants a list as an output. So I just did output equals to result dot split, and we want to split this bad boy between every space. RegEx has this split one too, but Python already has it kind of pre-built in there, and we just return the output, and we see that work exactly how it wants it here. The fact that I gave you guys the installation for the Gmail should have made this one very easy. But keep that in mind, like you're going to encounter multiple types of emails, all different rules. So it's up to you to make the regex expression as detailed as possible for you guys in the future, whenever you guys actually start working with this. But a very simple assignment. Let's look at the slides. So the vowels and domains.py, pretty simple. After we went through the walkthrough of the email one, that should have been very easy to pick up. Next going to be the capture groups. So this is a way to treat multiple characters as a single unit. And this is what I was telling you guys before, how it's returning groups and you're able to grab it using the index. And you can iterate through them. We have here a string hello followed by numbers and the pound. The pattern here, now that you guys have seen the special characters, you should be able to read this somewhat with ease. We get any letter from A to Z regardless of what its capitalization is, and we want at least one characters of those or more. And then we're gonna grab that. We have it within parentheses. Everything, like that first match should return a group. The second group we want immediately following that one should be a number from 0 to 9 or more occurrences. We want to grab that in a group. After that one, the next one is going to be anything that's a non-digit, one or more occurrences, and return that as the group. And that's kind of what that is doing. It's matching whatever's in there, and that will put it in its own group itself. And you can see that we print go through if uniterable, and then for match in matches, complete string after whatever group 0 is. We can see here group 0 got essentially it grabbed all of it. Group 0 Y. Group 0 is the first one. Complete string followed by group 1, which is going to be the first thing itself. Group 2, it's going to be the second one. We see the just numbers. It grabbed everything that was a digit and then every non-digit. And I want to say the non-digit one will also, I don't know if it picks up letters. Let's test it out. If we have hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the pound sound. This is on my expression side. Put this here. The non-digit, they pick up letters too. Let's see. We have A through Z, and then capital A through Z. That captures that. More than one occurrence. We can use the lowercase d for the numbers. And then we have the capital D. One or more occurrences. But if we take this off, it does. All right, so anything that's non-digit, it will capture that as well. So we have this captured the pound afterwards, but not the hello, right? That's going to come after our digits, and we're able to grab them all as a group and then print them out as well. Remember, these are also all objects, so you are able to get the location for them. Student practice. The regex practice.py. I hope it's not another email one. Okay, it's multiple. All right, cool. Let's break into groups on these. And then I'll bounce between you guys and make sure if you guys need any help. That way we can get some more one-on-one stuff. So we'll break up to groups. This is enough problems to keep you guys a little busy. So we'll do that. All right, let's come back from our group break. We broke off to work on the regular expression assignment. I actually underestimated how many problems there were on that assignment. I didn't know there was 20. But we'll kick it off with some student examples for the first 5. And then for the remainder of the time, we'll do a code along on how to go about the process for the other 15. So can I get a volunteer for the first one? Awesome. Thank you, Kara, for volunteering. If you don't mind, go ahead and share your screen, please.
What am I volunteering for? I missed the first part of that.
Just reviewing. So the first 5 problems we'll have student volunteers for it.
Okay, I got you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So you just want the first one?
Yeah, just talk us through your
I
code
need to,
and
yeah,
how
I need
did
to
it work.
comment that out. Okay. So first one, what was even the first one? So we had to return true if it had only upper lower case letters, numbers, and underscores. So we basically wrote a function that called on the, trying to remember how long ago this was. So we're looking for words, digits, or underscores, specifically at the beginning of the string, and then we had the plus sign, so it was like one or more of any of those characters plus the end of the string, so that way whatever the string was, it would be one whole string. Because if it broke up with like spaces or something like that, it wouldn't match the criteria we're looking for. And then we just ran a match function. So basically for our first input, it would pick up on like the spaces and catch that it's not, it's not a match. And then so when we pass it through a Boolean, it would pass as false. And then when you did have all those characters within one chunk, then it would be true. And running the code. And ignore the last part, I didn't comment it out apparently. But false, true.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Can you show us, David, number 2, please? How'd you solve yours?
Yep, 1 second. All right, you got me. So it's been a while. So true if a string is passed and starts with number 5. Yeah, so I just did, the pattern is caret 5 and then matched it and return bool match true or false, right? So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, very simple. The next one's gonna be pretty much the same, right? What'd you use for the next one?
0 to 9 plus $sign.
Yeah, very, 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 very nice. Pretty plain simple. It's honestly just the yin and yang of each other, beginning and end. I appreciate it. Thank you. Jose,
Yep.
do you want to go over the 4th one for us?
No, I didn't get to those. Sorry.
Okay. Uh, somebody that got to the fourth one, like maybe Adrian.
Hello?
Hello.
Let me throw mine in here. So I just used the parentheses and put the dog in there. And we got some dogs.
Okay, what's the problem? If you don't mind explaining it.
Oh, is it wrong? Dang it, okay. It says write a function that uses a regex expression to return a list of all the instances of dog or dogs. Oh, dogs. How would I do the S?
Okay, I mean this is fine. You know, we can work on it together here. So yeah, so we want to grab the dog or dogs, and how would we go about that? You're able to find a dog using the plus sign. What would that do to that? Adding the plus afterwards.
Um, can't remember to be
It'll
honest.
yeah it'll grab everything that uh a dog if it appears at least once or more. Um, but we want to grab all the instances of dog or what else? We want to get dogs as well.
Hmm.
So one or the other. Someone help out Adrian. How can we get one or the other?
Is this where they did the parentheses and they put the S or whatever other that could be there, could not be there, or won't be there?
So I
What
tried
do
the
you mean?
parentheses thing and it didn't work. I kind of had a dumb answer. I just put a dot after dog because I knew that in the string, the only other character that came after dog was S. But
What a genius.
We put the S in brackets, followed that by a $sign.
Mhm. Okay, that's one way of doing it. So it'll capture dog with the S
Sorry,
at
not
the end
$sign,
of
a
it,
question mark.
the question
Oh.
mark, right? So it would be optional. It doesn't always have to be there. Would we put the question mark inside the brackets or outside the brackets, Kara?
Outside.
Okay, I'll try. So that'll get group anything with dog with maybe an S optional. Try and run that, Adrian.
I got the dogs. It was right.
Okay, it was right. Awesome, yeah. So you know it says grab dog or dog, so we know at a minimum it's gonna start with dog, but it's not always gonna have an S, right? And this kind of goes to the question that one of the students asked today. You know, how do we know when to grab something or like when to use? Huh? Stand by. Can you guys hear my kid yelling or no?
Barely.
Thank God. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah. So the question mark, you know, I was asked today, you know, when do we know how to use the asterisk or the you know the plus sign or the question mark? Well, this is a prime example for the student's question. You know, we know for sure it's gonna be dog, but it's not always gonna be dogs. So the S would be optional. We want to grab every situation that starts with dog, and then grab dogs if we run into it. So this is a perfect example of how I go about that. There's another method to grab one or the other, and who can tell me which one that one is? The pipe, right? Yeah, I saw you, Kara. Yeah, so you know, like very similar to Python syntax or the JavaScript. Oh, the JavaScript syntax, I believe actually. We use double pipes for or when we do if or like if this or that, yada yada. Well, we can use the pipes as well, but instead of two, it's just one. So we can do dog, pipe, dogs. Try that one out.
It'll be like this, and then just the dogs.
It's just one pipe. No, it would be within that group.
Okay. So like this.
Negative. So it would be dog, pipe, dogs. So we want either grab dog or dogs, right? So yeah, so right there, if we just did that, we would grab dog. But inside we can do dog, pipe, dogs. Yes, there you go. So we will grab dog or dogs. Run that. How does that work?
It does not.
It does not.
Yeah.
Why? Well, let's put the the backward slash B outside of this group, and the front and in the back. Does that grab it?
Yeah.
It does, right? It does. But we don't always want to grab a whole group and just group it into individual items. So what we can do is before the word dog,
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and put question mark and then colon. I just learned this one right now, actually, when I was doing it. So question mark and then colon, please.
Is that colon?
That's a semicolon. Colon is a 2 dots. Negative. So
Shift
Oh, like
semicolon.
mistake. There you go. All right, nice attempt. I appreciate the courage. Thank you. So I just learned that one myself. If we're being completely transparent with each other, it would essentially what you call it? Give me a second. Let me read it to y'all. Cause we will get either dog, dogs, or dog. We can use a dog. Give me a second. Essentially, what the colon and that question mark are doing, it is grabbing it, but it's not putting it all in one group. It's doing it in non-capturing groups, if that makes sense. Where if we just put it in without the question mark and the colon, it would capture one group of dog, right? If we didn't put the question mark and colon, but because we put the question mark and colon, it's saying it's gonna be, it's not gonna be it's gonna be optional. We're not gonna always just grab just one group. It'll have multiple matches of dog. Right. I just learned that myself. That's a nice little addition that you can add to it. On the quick reference, you can find it there, where it's called match everything in close. So a non-capturing group allows you to apply quantifiers to part of your regex, but does not assign it an ID. And we saw the ID whenever we were grabbing the groups of matches. We got like group 1, group 0, group 2. It assigned it to a specific group. Here, there's no group. It didn't group it. It just grabbed everything within there. And that was a nice little trick that we could use. Okay, thank you, Agent, for that. I appreciate it. Donnie, you want to help us out with the next one? You're muted, Donnie, if you're talking.
I wasn't talking.
Okay, awesome.
Are we on 5?
Yes, sir, we are.
This is how I did it.
Okay, yeah, run us through it. What are we looking at?
Oh, reg expression return a list that only includes the numbers, so I just threw it into list. Split the string up in the words. And then basically you go through each one. If it's a digit, add it to the list with the backslash D plus being one or more digits, and then just return the list.
Okay, I'm glad you're presenting. This is a nice time to mention this. Do we need to split it and do a for loop through it? Would this have worked if we just use match past the pattern we're trying to use onto the string? Yes, right? Because that's like the whole point of the regular expressions. Instead of doing for loops, splitting our strings, and you know, searching through our strings ourselves, and you know, and dissecting our words, you know, that's the power of regEx. It throws that out the window and it gives us that power in the form of what regEx is. So we don't necessarily have to use forwarding words or split anything here at all. RegEx does that for us in the form of the dot match method, right? And you see that above, you know, you did it right on line 53 to 57. You know, you provided the pattern that you're looking for, and you just uh, use a find all using the pattern in the string, and it automatically just sorts it for you. It goes through it, it sorts it with the pattern that you provided, and then it returns it into your new string. So there's no splitting required or no looping of words needed because the power is already built into regEx. Uh, so counterproductive, but regardless, it still did what it should have done. So you know, it's a learning point from here, which is awesome. That just also helps just talk about the fact that that's what regEx really does for us. It takes away that functionality that we have to do all this manual code of looping and formatting strings. We don't have to do that. You know, imagine if we had to do that for the email. That would suck. Having to break our email apart at different points. You know, split it at the at, and then split it at the dot, and then loop through our string, look for underscores or numbers. We don't have to do that. RegEx takes that functionality for us, in the form of these nice cool functions and methods, right? But thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate it. Good stuff. And then we'll do one more because David um went over two. So Jackson, would you mind going over the next one? I know Kara did mention that you guys did up to 10.
We jumped to the 10, but the next one's, let me see what I'm doing. Okay.
If it's not completed, we can walk through it together. This is not bad either.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, number six is just same with the one we just did with the vowels. So,
Uh,
are we on number 6? Yeah.
Yeah, we were right. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So you just capture all the
Okay, yeah, it is very
vowels.
similar. You're right.
Yeah.
Did you do 7?
Nah, no, we didn't do 7, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So you said no one did 7, or did you not finish 7?
No, we didn't. We just jumped to 10.
Okay, well let's talk 3 then. So what is it? We have to write a function that uses a regular expression to abbreviate row as RD dot in a given string. So what do we want to use? We want to use sub. That's awesome. Yep. So we want to use because we want to substitute what road is for something new. And I see you got it there. So you create your pattern. You're grabbing ROAD, and then you're doing the pattern. You're passing it what you want to replace it with. You're missing a dot on the RD. I believe it wanted to have the dot on line 128.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Let's see.
And then
No.
we need to.
Oh, no, it's fine. I just here. I was just doing it, so.
Okay, yeah, and we want to not return true or false. We want to return the string.
Okay. Oh. Only.
Yeah. This isn't a match one. It's like, we're trying to create a new string. So we should be able to return match, not in the Boolean form, but match itself so we can see what's assigned to it.
Too much stuff going on here. I'm sorry. Let's
It's
see.
okay. It's okay. Yeah. Let's get back to it. We don't have to do any copy and pasting. We can just do that ourselves. So you have on line 1.
Wait,
Where'd it go?
I don't know.
Go to 7. I think 7, right there. 7.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So right there on number 7, we can no.
No,
You're scrolling
okay,
to
just let me just okay, it's fine. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we're here.
we need
Awesome.
this.
We can
we
remove
don't
the
need this, right? So
No, we do not. So we have our new string should be saved into our variable name match. So we should be able to return match.
oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So we have to return something. I
Mm,
mean, we don't necessarily have to, but you're
What
okay.
I'm
Try that. You're printing twice, but it's okay. So
okay.
it does
I don't
do
need
it.
this.
It does print it out from line 129. You're getting none because it's not returning something. But it's not a big deal.
It's not okay. Yeah, plus I didn't put the stuff, I guess. Yeah. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So you can delete everything between line 130 and 134. That's not needed. You can delete 129. You can return that if you want to. You can just put return there so none stops showing up. And then you can run it. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, my bad. Return match. Right.
That's
So
the
there we
one.
go. So returns match and then prints it on line 133, which is fine. There we go. Good stuff. Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
stop sharing. We'll continue together as a group. Okay. Share screen. We'll finish off the night by doing some coding together, and talking through the regular expressions. I feel like some of y'all caught on to regular expressions pretty well, and some of you guys might be struggling with it. So we'll continue to ensure that everyone is good. We're only as fast as our slowest members. And if anything, there's other people that are going to be watching our videos that could probably use this explanation as well. So we'll talk through them. So can everybody see my VS Code for now? Thumbs up, please. Thumbs. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So we went over write a function for number 7. I was doing these myself, but I thought it would be easier if we just code along together. So we can write a function that uses a regular expression to replace all occurrences of space, comma, or period with a colon. So we see here, we're gonna go ahead and create our function. We do define, then we do replace characters. We'll just call that. Replace characters, and it's going to take in a input string. All right, so within here, we're going to set up our pattern, and use R to initiate our regex. And now we want to take in here, we see our example for input, and we want to remove all situations of commas, spaces, or colon. So how would we go about that? We want to replace them with what? It says with a colon. So we want to essentially capture and how will we do this? Who can start me off?
/S.
I'm sorry?
backslash S
S
white
slash
space. Yep, the white space.
for white space, right? So it's gonna capture the white space. And then what else? We want to capture white space. What else? The space.
Comma and a period.
Yeah, command period.
The commas, the periods. Is this how we're gonna do it? We can actually, to make this a little bit easier to visualize. Let's use my favorite tool. Right, we have our Python exercise visualizer. So we want to be able to catch all the spaces, catch all the periods. So we can put this within here, catch all spaces, all periods, all commas, and then multiple occurrences of them as well, right? So it could be, would it be plus or would it be asterisk? It would be plus, right? You know, at least one or more. Oh, what's going on? Keyboard's freaking out. All right, so we want to capture those specific three, and then there's no limit to them. We can want to do at least one or more, and we can use this. Come back here and just after we format our pattern, we can take that, and that should grab all those instances. And what will be the next step? Well, we have that. Now we want to do result is equal to array. Now, which one will we want to use though?
Sub.
Sub, right? Why is that? Because we want to switch them out, right? So sub, which will substitute all our instances of whatever we're looking for, and then we're going to give it what? What's the first item it takes? It takes our pattern, right? It even says it right there. It starts showing us what our methods take. We can give it our pattern, and what are we going to replace it with? We said a colon, right? Adrian, pay attention. A colon. We pass it up the colon, and then what's going to be the next thing that it takes here? It's going to take our string, right? So we can give it input string right here. And is that it? We see here that it has other variables like count, flags. Well, we did say if we want all of them, we don't have to put a count. So this should be good. Would this work? We can return result. And then let's call this. We can do print, say, string is equal to copy, paste, and then we'll do print. Within here, we can do replace characters, then pass it our string. Now I wonder if this work. CD enter key. What we see here, it takes it in, it returns it, Python, cool. It gave us a colon within space. It gets to the exercises, and that's weird. It only has one colon. So what did it fail to replace? It's not exactly how our output should be. What happened?
Your white space got messed up.
Yeah, it looks like it's not capturing it like it should. Maybe because of the way that it's built here.
So if you take the back slashes, out, it'll work.
Yeah.
Take the backslash and the plus off, it should work. It worked for me.
You said the plus?
Yeah.
Why would it work without the plus?
The plus is saying one or more. I don't know.
Well, yes, it is saying one more. That's absolutely right. So it's gonna capture this, right? Either space, a period, or a comma. One or the other. Right? But because we didn't put a count, it's gonna capture every single one of them and it's gonna replace it with the colon. Right? Does that make sense? But because we're putting a plus sign, and because we gave it space and then commas, it's going to combine them together. Because when it runs this, it captures this right here as one string itself, right? As one group, if that makes sense. But because it captured it all as one group, then it replaced it with one colon. But we don't want one or more occurrences. We only want one, right? The amount of times it's going to replace it is going to be dictated by the count in our dot sub method. Are you guys with me? Does that make sense? Because it's very easy to get confused with using the plus or the asterisk there and then expecting it to grab it how you want to. It depends on the method that you're using. But yeah, so perfect. That one works. We can come with the example out. We got enough time for one more before we pause for the night. So we're going to write a function that uses a RegEx expression to return a list of all words in a string that are exactly 5 characters long. Okay, so define 5 characters. It's going to take an input string. Let's start with our pattern. Someone besides Donnie this time. How are we going to start this off? We want to grab a list of all words in the string that are exactly 5 characters long. Jose, do you want to talk us out of your thought process?
I'm still lost. Sorry.
Okay. Anything specific that you're lost on?
Honestly, like pretty much a lot of it, but I think I could start off with at least saying that we're looking for characters, like you said, just like A through Z.
Yeah, that's a good start. Thank you for that. Yeah, we want to look for characters in our string. So A through Z, we're looking for a specific amount, right? We're not looking for one or more. We're not looking for 0 or more occurrences. So tell me, State, how would we do that? Well, let's check it out.
Curly.
Curly brackets. Yes, thank you, Jasmine. Curly brackets. I encourage use this tool as much as possible. Okay, don't try to guess what you're looking at on your VS Code. You have tools like this for a reason. Like, ain't nobody know some RegEx expert unless this is your job. Okay, so work this. We're looking for 5 or more, so we're gonna look for A through Z. And we're looking for. I see here it's grabbing matches, but they're not together. So will we do it inside or outside? We want to grab a certain amount of occurrences. Well, how many did we want? We want 5. Right? We want 5 or more, right? Was that what it asked for? 5 or more? That are exactly 5 characters long. So we're not gonna put no comma or anything like that because we only want 5 characters. And that's what that does for us, right? What if we were to add that? Do we want it to start and end? Will this work? Right, because I don't think I like that. So it grabbed the 5, but wait, it doesn't like. You see how when we add the S's, it's not necessarily grabbing the entire thing. What do we do? Jumping. All right, it's only grabbing the 5. So that's obviously not correct. All right. So we're able to grab through 5. That doesn't grab exactly what we're looking for. We can do 5 here. What if we do the beat? There we go. Now it doesn't try to attempt to grab jumps when it's jumping, or if we put multiple S's. It's only going to be if it's strictly within 5. Why? Well, let's look at it. And I just learned this to myself today, right? Well, the /B, it asserts a position at a word boundary, right? So this is the boundary from left to right, no more than 5. It captures 5, but after those 5, it does not allow it to grab anything else or at all get all weird with it. It creates that boundary, and now it no longer tries to grab jumps, even though it meets the 5 or more criteria. All right, before we added that boundary, if jumps was jumping, it would attempt to grab the first 5. And that's wrong. We don't want that. Right? And that boundary gave us that left and right limit to specify to it what we want and how much to grab. Right? And now this should work within our code. This will be our pattern. Right? And we're supposed to write a function that uses that it grabs all words in a string that are exactly 5 characters long. So we got our pattern. All right. The next step is the easy part. Which one do we use?
Find all.
Find all. That's pretty good, right? So we take find all, and then within here, the first one's going to take, it shows right here, the pattern, right? And we already have it assigned to a variable named pattern. Next, it's going to take what string do we want to grab it from, and we'll give it the input string. And then we can just return results. And then let's try that. We can do string is equal to our example test. And then print out 5 characters. Within here, pass it our string. This is not good naming convention, by the way. Don't use this. You don't want to name a string. I'm just in a hurry because it's getting late. And now let's try it out. Jesus Christ. Python. RegEx. All right, and it grabs the quick, the brown, and the jumps. It freaking works, man. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna stop right here. That's going to conclude today's class. Let me stop the recording.